Good morning, Atlanta communities, and welcome to Wake Up to Broker Up with Mark, episode number 18. Can you believe it? For 2022. Well, today we're going to talk about paint. No, we're not going to talk about which Sherwin-Williams colors are in vogue and what the latest trends are. We're going to talk about something that's been around for quite a while, and that's lead-based paint. Lead-based paint. You probably can't see this real good, but I've got on here LBP-DTS, and DTS stands for Disclose That Shit. Right? I'm sorry to be so graphic, but disclose it. Lead-based paint. Roughly 475 active and under contract Atlanta Communities listings recently. Of those 475, 220 were built prior to 78. If it's built prior to 1978, it requires a lead-based paint disclosure. And why? Because the EPA is looking for violations of lead-based paint and disclosure. And when the EPA finds those violations, they fine them, not find, F-I-N-E, they fine them $16,000. $16,000. I don't know about you, but I certainly don't want to pay the EPA $16,000. So next week, we have some information coming out in the next probably week, could be 10 days or so. We have information coming out that will help you about best practices for lead-based paint. And the bottom line is, if the property was built prior to 1978, whether you're representing the seller or the buyer, you got to disclose that, right? And it's pretty easy to do. Prior to it going binding, you have to make sure that if you're representing a seller that they fill out the lead-based paint disclosure and you send it to a prospective buyer before you get the offer. So if you've got a 1978 or before listing, you got to have the seller fill out lead-based paint, send it over to the buyer, upload it into the system, however you want to do it, so the buyer acknowledges lead-based paint prior to it going binding. If you're representing a buyer and you don't have that information, make sure you get it from the listing agent. If you don't get it from the listing agent, fill out a lead-based paint disclosure and send it over with the offer. You got to make sure you do it, because if the EPA comes calling, they're going to want their $16,000. Enjoy your weekend. Have a great day. Bye-bye.